How's everybody doing? So I let my dough rise for about 3 to 4 hours. So like I said, it should dough inside just like that. We're going to put a little flour on the cutting board. Probably going to cut this in half. We use about half of it for the pizza. All you're going to need for pizza: fresh sauce, mozzarella, basil. That's how I make my pizza, not too much ingredients. You can put peppers on it, you can put onions on it, you can put pepperoni, prosciutto, pepperoni, pineapple, ham, sardines. You can do a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm very simple. I'm just going to put just a little cheese, sauce, and some fresh basil. That's about it. Nothing too much. That's it. Just gonna, like I said, I cut the pizza in half, put some flour on the cutting board, and just work it. I do have a pizza stove in my oven. I set that for 450. Got my little pizza pan here. Now I don't have a pizza peel, which is the wooden thing when you see it, the pizza, when you go to the pizzeria and they throw the pizza in the oven. If I had one of those, I would cook directly on the pizza stone. But since I don't have that, I'm going to use this. And we're just going to use our fingers just to, get it all nice. Just make it as big to fill this pizza pan. So, actually, I'm going to use the whole pizza dough because we actually need the whole pizza dough to fit the pizza pan. And I'm just going to go like this a little bit just to thin it out. Just use your knuckles. Have it just, oop. You can do that too. And you just go like this, get all nice thin. Yeah, I like my pizza thin, mixing thin crust pizza. I'm not a professional pizza person. I do my best. Just work it. Doesn't gotta be perfect. So made pizza, making it for you or your family. So doesn't I just keep working it. I got a little hole there, so we just move some of the dough over to fill that. Yeah, so if you get a little hole, make sure your dough's all nice and even. That doesn't happen. You do want where you have, make this a little thicker by the crust, so you do get a nice crust when you bake the pizza. And then we're going to bake it in the 450 oven. I'm going to put this directly on my pizza stone, probably about 10 to 15 minutes. We'll put 10 minutes on the timer to check it, because I have an electric oven. So I'm not, second or third time making a pizza in an electric oven. So nicey. I got some homemade tomato sauce I made today. Just take your little, and just go like this, and just spread that sauce nice and evenly. Got a big piece of onion there, I don't want that. Put a little more sauce, make it all nice saucy. So that's about how much sauce you'll need. Now I'm going to use some fresh mozzarella. You got this from Aldi, a couple dollars. If I can open it up, that would be nice. I got the mozzarella open. Nice thing about this mozzarella already comes pre-sliced. So I'm just gonna, do that just a little bit, just to make that piece was a little thick there. And you know, just put the mozzarella right on your pizza. Don't gotta be perfect. You know, it's homemade pizza, so just miss a couple spots here with the sauce. Even that sauce out a little more. Like I said, you can put your own ingredients. I'm just going to put some mozzarella, some fresh basil, a little poke romano. You know, nothing crazy. Cook in the oven at 450 for about 10 to 15 minutes. You can use shredded cheese. You know, I just like the fresh mozzarella. It tastes a little better. I got a little poke romano and parmesan mixture in here. I'm going to spread some of this too on the pizza. You can make, you know, all different types of stuff. You can even make a white pizza. You know, you do everything the same here, just without the cheese, without the sauce. I mean, you use a ricotta, you know, a little ricotta cheese. Yeah, it's I think enough Parmigiano. I got some fresh basil I bought the other day at the vegetable store. You know, just I don't like to put big pieces of basil, so I always break my pieces up of basil, and you know, just sprinkle it over the pizza. That's about it. You know, nothing crazy. So that's what your pizza should look like. All nice. Well, it doesn't have to look like this, but this is what my pizza looks like. Like I said, you could do a whole bunch of different things. Got my oven at 450, preheated. Pizza stone's nice and heated. Probably heated it for about 45 minutes, so the pizza stone has that nice heat. I'm gonna put this in the oven for 10 minutes. You know, about 10 to 15 minutes. I'm gonna check in 10 minutes, see how it is. If not, cook it for a couple more minutes and check it out. How's everybody doing? So pizza took about 15 minutes. And that's what the finished product looks like. Now you might have a little liquid. That's just because of the fresh mozzarella. So that happens. Now also when you're cutting pizza, you want to cut it real quick. You don't want to take your time and go little by little. You want to cut that real quick. That is the best way to cut pizza. If you take your time, it's not going to work. Just like that. And dinner is served.